welcome to At Home today. Isn't it great this time of the year when the flowers are blooming and it's getting warmer and warmer, and it just gives you such hope just to look forward to a great summer. Plan for maybe a time apart where you can get some days for vacation and take your family and just forget about all the things you do the rest of the year and just spend quality family time together. If you haven't made preparation to do that, I'm going to tell you, you need to take a vacation. I sound like mother, huh? No, but you do. I think anybody that works any kind of a pressure type job, you have to get away and you have to just completely forget about what that pressure is for the rest of the year and just kind of regroup and just relax and forget about the clock and forget about the computer and everything else that drives you crazy all the rest of the year. But I know that sometimes you just don't have the money to do that, but if it's only for 2 days, start thinking about it now. Make some plans. Talk to your husband, talk to your wife, talk to the kids. Where would they like to go? Just get away for a couple of days. When I was growing up, no, we didn't have a lot of money. You know where we went for vacation? Every year we went to camp meeting because my dad was a pastor. And so our group of churches had a camp meeting. And we'd go for 10 days, and I didn't know anything other than that for a vacation until my husband Paul and I got married, and then he took me everywhere. It seemed like that first summer we went everywhere. But I didn't resent going there. It was great because you saw people that you only saw once a year, and that was part of an extended family type thing. And so if you only have a day or two to get away, make the most of it. Start planning now. If it's in June, July, August, whenever it is, start planning for it now, because I'll tell you, it's worth it. And that's quality time with your family. You just kind of draw them in closer and pull them up to you a little more tightly than you normally do. I have a wonderful letter I want to read to you. This letter says, "Dear Arlene, let me start off by saying that my daughter Megan and I both just love to watch your show. I enjoy watching most cooking shows, but rarely ever try any of the dishes because of the many ingredients that I just don't keep around the house. That's why we like your show. You always make dishes that I know my family will like, and you use ingredients that I have in my home. Megan gets so excited when I tell her that it's Wednesday because she knows that at 10 o'clock your show comes on. Megan is 4 years old and has cerebral palsy. So there are many things that Megan can't do. So she watches a lot of TV, and they were so gracious to send me a picture of Megan. So she watches a lot of TV, but I can honestly say that your show rates higher in our house than even Mr. Rogers. Wow, am I in good company? How about that? Megan loves to help me cook, and when she's playing on the floor, she's always playing with her pots and pans and pretending to have her own cooking show. Well, Megan, you keep pretending. Maybe someday that'll happen for you. I must say you are a very good influence in my daughter's life. As I said, I enjoy all dishes that you make, but I am really interested in your low-fat recipes. This is from Sue Ritchie from Altoona and her wonderful daughter, Megan. Thank you so much for your letter. I hope that At Home and I am a good role model for young people, for young married women, for everybody that watches. I hope that I am. And your letter meant so much to me. Thanks, Sue. And you give Megan a great big hug for me, will you? And Megan, you keep watching and you keep cooking, all right? Well, we are going to cook up some low-fat dishes for you today. And these are some that some viewers have shared with us. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to get started in just a minute. Here's today's at-home hint. To give your pie a really different flavor, use apple juice instead of water when mixing the crust.
For updates, pictures, stories, and more, like us on Facebook. To watch hundreds of classic episodes, subscribe to us on YouTube. And to get hundreds of free recipes, visit ctvn.org/athome.
Well, the first dish that we're going to be preparing today is called Living Light Chili. Now you say, what the world is a Living Light Chili? There's a group that come to our station occasionally. They've become good friends of mine, and they're a singing group, they're a family group, and they're called the Living Light. And so they came and they told me about this great turkey chili that they prepare. So for lack of a better name, I call it Living Like Chili because we really like it. First of all, you're gonna take a little bit, just a tablespoon of butter, and you put it into a nice deep skillet. You need to do that, let it get hot. Now we're going to add 1 large onion that has been chopped. And this is probably about a cup. If you don't like that many onions, don't put that much in. You don't have to. All right? And these need to cook a little bit to get soft. We're going to take a large clove of garlic and we're going to mince it. This is a large clove of garlic. And mince it right into the pan. If you like more garlic, you can add more garlic. But this, you know, sometimes people say, well, you know, I don't care too much to use turkey, even though we know that it's much lower in fat than the beef, because it just kind of has a bland taste. It doesn't have, and that's pretty much true. You're right. But see, what you do when you use something like that, you double up or add extra spices, because that's what will make it taste better for you. So you'll be more encouraged to use it than just saying, oh, forget that. You know, that doesn't taste very good because it doesn't have the taste of beef. Well, no, because it's turkey. But if you add seasonings to it, you will get the flavor that you want, because really in chili, when you think about it, it's the spices that gives the chili the flavor, the chili powder and all that stuff. It's not the necessarily the beef. So we're going to let this cook for just a little bit. The dishes we're doing today are all in low fat, and we're going to do a Monte Cristo sandwich that's low fat. We're also going to make something that we use the Great Northern beans with. And that is like 1 gram of fat and 192 calories, very low. It's got tomatoes in it, so you want to stay tuned for that. And we're going to make some tortilla chips too, because I want you to have some snack ideas. All right, we'd probably let this cook a little bit longer, but for the sake of time, we're going to just go on. This is about 1 pound of ground turkey. You notice how much lighter it is as opposed to the beef, which is redder. And basically we're just going to put this in, and what you want to do is break it up. Break it up into smaller pieces. Now, I would caution you, if you buy turkey that's in that little plastic tube that comes in the freezer section, you have to be careful with that, because they grind up they grind skin and everything in that usually. Watch your labels. When you go to Foodland or wherever you do your shopping, really important for you to watch. This is fresh ground turkey. That really makes a difference. So we're going to just break it up. Break it up real good. And this needs to brown. I can have my gas up nice and high. And this will brown very quickly. You'll see there's no grease on it, because turkey has very, very little fat. And the leaner it is, and if you keep watching, it will say so much percent fat-free, 95% fat-free, 99%. The lower fat, the better it is. That's what you want to look for. Now, I know that some of you say, well, you know, we were doing so good and then we got sidetracked and now it's just really hard to get back on. Believe me, I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, sometimes you go on a diet and you're doing so good and you think, I can do this the rest of my life. And the thing is, sometimes you feel like, boy, if I could just taste that once, that would be all right. And you get that taste back in your mouth for a certain thing that you know it's not good for you. It's hard to get back on your diet and your way of cutting the fats out of your diet, or if you're doing low calorie, cutting the calories out. But you have to persevere, have to keep doing it, cut here and cut there, and don't be too hard on yourself. Some people just get really down and depressed, and I know I have to watch that myself. You just have to remember that, you know, you did it once, you can do it again, it will come back, you'll have that desire to do it again, and if it's necessary for you, it will be all right. Jumping out of the skillet, these are not Mexican beans, but okay, so we're browning this up pretty good. Now, what we're going to do is just add all the spices. And what I have here is some salt. We're going to add about a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of chili powder. Okay, now I'm telling you, this is what's going to make this good. Here is about a teaspoon of basil, fresh basil or dried basil. Then we have oregano, about a half a teaspoon of oregano. Then we have thyme, which is about a half a teaspoon, and a fourth of a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, if you want a really hot, make it, help yourself, Tabasco, whatever you want to put chilies in or whatever you want to do, fine. But hold off, because after we do this, this is pretty brown. You can see there's very little fat. If you want to drain this, you could drain it. I would suggest not to do it just yet. All right, now we're going to add 1 can of light red kidney beans, and do not drain it. Just put it in there. Okay, 1 can of kidneys. And 1 can, this is stewed tomatoes that already has some celery and stuff in it. The stewed tomatoes, not regular tomatoes, but stewed tomatoes. And then, now the girls in the living light didn't tell me this, but I added this because I like a little more bite to it. These are tomatoes with green chilies. Add about a half a can. You game? Should I add the whole? Yeah, okay, the crew says add the rest of it. Okay, we're putting the whole, you can do a small can if you want to, you don't have to, but this will give it, I'm telling you, some real bite. And we're going to just let this cook, I'd say about a half hour or so, and this will cook down. And I like to serve chili. Mom always served it over mashed potatoes or a pasta. This is going to get served over a pasta that we already have cooking. And but you only have to let this go for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to put this on my other burner. Now I want to make the northern beans in Ziti, okay? And that one, we're just going to take some chicken broth in a little saucepan like this, and we'll add about a fourth of a cup. We'll add some onion. Again, some chopped onion, about a half a cup or so. And again, some garlic cloves. It seems like you have to have garlic to give it that good flavor, because if you don't, everything kind of tastes bland when you take the fat out of it. Let's face it, the fat's what makes it taste good, unfortunately. That's why we need to take it out, because we've all been using it too much, all right? Anyway, so add garlic, add the onion, add peppers, things like that that are not high in fat. Use those to beef up the taste of things. Okay, so here we have, we're going to do 2 cloves of garlic in this one. There we are. Again, use the back of your knife so you don't injure the blade part. And I put it all in there, why not? It's just going to make it good. All right, they're going to sweat a little bit. So you're using the broth or the water in place of the oil. And that's important because we're trying to cut the fat out, so you don't want to use the oil or the butter to cook your vegetables in. Now, when these are pretty much cooked, they're transparent. You don't want them to fry, you just want them to cook and get tender. Then we're going to add, it might take about 5 minutes. For time, again, I'm going to go ahead with this recipe. We're going to add some more broth if needed. If this dries up, just keep adding a little bit of broth at a time. Then we're going to add some tomatoes, which is about 2½ cups of either fresh or low sodium tomatoes. Fresh or canned low sodium tomatoes. We're going to add that right in here and you have to chop them up. And they do want you to drain them. So we had a can and we had some fresh. We thought we would combine them and just see what that would be like. We're going to cook this, let it cook. You can kind of mix it around with a spoon. Now we're going to add, this should really simmer for about 10 minutes. Because this is one of those, you go a little ways and then you go a little ways more and you go a little ways more. And I would let this cook for about 10 minutes. Then we're going to add some peppers, some fresh ground pepper, or some already ground pepper, doesn't matter. And I'm going to add 1 can. These are the Great Northern beans that we have rinsed them and drained them. And this is what they look like. You can get the dried bean that you would soak overnight also. And I'm going to add some other, before I add those, I want to add a few other spices. Here we have some thyme again, and some basil. And let's see. I think we're okay with, the so you can see it's going to cook down and get softer and softer. Then all you do is add the beans to this. about 5 minutes before you're ready to go, because they don't need to cook because they're already cooked. They're from the can. I'm going to let this cook for a little bit while you take a break, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
If you love At Home with Arlene Williams, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have hundreds of episodes with all your favorite recipes, holidays, and friends.
Say hi to your fan club.
Hi, fan club.
And don't forget to click the bell so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
All right, we're going to be adding our beans to the tomatoes now, and we're going to let them cook for a little while. Then we've cooked 10 ounces of ziti and boiled that separately. We're going to put this over top of the ziti and add some fresh parsley. I'm going to tell you, this is good. And I have to tell you who sent me this recipe. Now wait just a minute and I will. Here we go. Linda, could you find out who sent me that recipe? I think it's on the one that you have, because I want to make sure that she has credit, because she was a really nice... Diane Clonica. Thanks, Diane. I appreciate it. All right, next we're going to do some flour tortillas. You buy these in a pack. They're fat-free. You buy them in your store. Foodland has them. You just take some butter-flavored Pam, spray on top of the tortilla, just like that. Okay. Then you just add cinnamon. Now, if you'd like to add garlic powder, if you're having them for a meal, you can add garlic powder. You can add cinnamon if you want to have them for like a dessert. And if you're doing the cinnamon, take a pack of sweet and low or equal, because you need to balance out the cinnamon with some sugar. Just put it all over, just like that. Now, these bake in a preheated 375-degree oven for just about 10 minutes. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these in. Okay, in 10 minutes, they'll be done. All right, now the Monte Cristo sandwich that I was telling you about, you just take a carton of egg beaters, and I've added some cinnamon because I like cinnamon in mine. Put the egg beaters into a dish, and we're going to mix that up with the cinnamon there. We're going to add skim milk, about a half a cup of skim milk, because this is going to be your batter for your French toast. If you're not familiar with a Monte Carlo sandwich, then it's a sandwich that has fat-free ham, fat-free turkey, and the bread to it is done like French toast. So we're going to go ahead. Just really care too much for the way that cinnamon looks. Maybe I should have added it after, shouldn't I? Well, I'm going to take some of that off. Okay, now we're going to dip our bread. I believe I'm going to take this closer to the griddle. And this is just laid on a hot griddle. You can hear it sizzle. And you dip each side. If you don't make French toast for your kids, then you don't know what we're doing here. But if you do, you know this is one of the things your kids really, really enjoy. And this is egg beaters and skim milk, so there's no fat, which is nice. By the way, isn't this a great griddle? Linda Wilson's mom had this griddle. She says she can remember many times having pancakes and French toast and all that other good stuff her mom used to make on this griddle. You don't see stuff like this too much anymore. And what you do is just keep checking to make sure it browns. You can see our turkey's cooking well. Now, how you're going to do this, you're going to, after this browns well on both sides, then what we'll do is take this is low fat or no fat ham and turkey. And you'll take one piece of turkey and one piece of ham, and you'll lay that on the sandwich, and you'll put it together, all right? And then you make a low fat or buy a low fat light maple syrup, and you cut it in squares and dip it in the maple syrup. Tell you what, we're talking good here, folks. We're talking real good, okay? Might need a little. Let me spray some of this Pam on here so we can really keep it honest and low fat. Probably should have sprayed that once before I just put that on there, but we'll do it. Anyway, this is something nice, like if you've been out in the evening and you come home and you want something, maybe having a late dinner because you didn't get the chance to have it earlier. This is nice to have with a salad. Maybe a few tortilla chips later in the evening is a good snack. This would be nice. My mom used to make sandwiches for Saturday dinner. She said, I'm not cooking on a Saturday. She never cooked Saturdays. She always cooked every other day. But Saturday was like her day off, and she'd have sandwiches. This would be a great sandwich, and the kids would love it, even though it is low fat. Don't be deterred by that and say, oh, well, that's low fat, that's diet food, I can't give it to the kids. Many of the habits that we as adults continue to eat with, we have to have this, were formed when we were kids. And I always wondered why you reward a child by doing something that you want them to do by giving them a cookie. Why don't we give them a piece of celery or give them a piece of fruit? But we always tend to give them the thing that we think they would, all that sugar, all that whatever. And I think that that's where a lot of this has started. And we need to not be so quick to give them the fattening things or the things that have high calories. But what we need to do is just reward them with things that are good for them, carrots and low-fat things, because that's going to really help them later in life, believe me. Okay, let's see, we're coming along good here. I'm going to take my platter. I'm going to assemble it on here first. And I'm going to put my one piece of French toast and my piece of turkey. And I'm going to better cut this. Here we go. Let's cut the turkey. Fat-free turkey and fat-free ham, all right? And you put a piece of ham, this fat-free, another piece of turkey, and then on top of that, I'm going to take one of our slices like that. You cut it in 4s, and you've got it, all right? And we'll be right back in just a minute with our final shot of today's program. Here's how you can get today's recipes.
To get all the recipes from today's show, plus hundreds of others, just click the link in the video description or visit our website, ctvn.org/at-home.
Well, we're doing low-fat dishes for you today, and this is the final shot from our table. This is a chili that we've boiled some small little dettagli, and I like some kind of a pasta with chili, but after you have it in your serving container, then you're going to take some fat-free sour cream and just put it on top, just like that. Or you can do it individually in bowls, which is fine. No fat in this at all, and just a little bit. Don't use a lot because this does have fat. This is Parmesan cheese. You just want to do a light sprinkle all over it, just like that. That sour cream, the heat of it will start to melt down through the chili. We're talking good here, folks. Try it. And don't be afraid to try the turkey. You're going to like it. Next to that, down here, there's our Monte Cristo, low-fat Monte Cristo sandwich. Cut it in 4ths and then dip it in this light syrup as you eat it. This is a great low-fat sandwich and very quick. Next to that is the Ziti with the Great Northern beans. You can see that's going to be something that's wholesome, good fiber, only 192 calories for a portion and only 1 gram of fat. And then down front is the tortilla chip that I told you about that you can make with cinnamon and sweet and low, or you can put garlic powder, garlic salt, or onion salt. Let me show you when it comes out of the oven. This is what it looks like. And what you do then is just break it up. You want to break it in pieces because if you want to use it for a fat-free dip, you can do that. However you want to use these is fine. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, so be sure to join us the next time because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, Pennsylvania. Appliances provided by Decor Distinctive Appliances, a reflection of your good taste. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.